AHumbleSoul, man. We checking back in. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, be sure to do so ASAP, man. Especially if you're rocking with the content. You know, it's greatly appreciated.
I was in a bar in Jamaica, Queens on my 25th birthday, and I got really drunk. And I was drinking, I called it the potion. I was mixing Baileys and Absolute. I got jumped. I got the crap beat out of me.
You know, Michael K. Williams, he's best known for his role as Omar in HBO's series The Wire. You know, The Wire was a big show based in Baltimore, and it painted a picture of the street life out there, the corruption within the government and law enforcement, so on and so forth. Just the everyday struggles, man, out there in Baltimore. Michael K. Williams' role as Omar was hands down one of the standouts when it comes to The Wire. You know, he was a stick-up kid in that show, stick-up guy, robber, robbing everything moving, man, when it came to the drug dealers. He was like a Robin Hood to a certain extent. You know, The Wire is what really put him on the scene on a global scale, on a major level. He was definitely a talented brother, but it wasn't just his talent, you know, that made Michael K. Williams stand out. It was the visual element, you know, that deep scar that ran from his forehead across his nose, you know, down his right cheek. It made him look real gritty, real serious, although he was open in different interviews about him not having a street bone in his body, although he grew up in the projects associated with, you know, people of certain lifestyles. Michael K. Williams in particular said he never actually was a street dude.
On my birthday, on my 25th birthday, I got cut in my face in a barroom brawl. There was a poppin' party going on in Queens. Went outside to get some air, and I saw that two of my other friends was being surrounded by some dudes who I didn't know, and it looked like they were about to get jumped. And I said, yo, I'm ready to leave. Let's go back. I'm gonna go back home now. But this one dude kept pacing behind me. He kept walking behind me. He kept like, you know, like sucking his teeth. And I'm looking, I was like, yo, what's up, dude? I'm like, yo, bro, what's your problem? And the dude wiped his hand across his mouth and just, what I thought it appeared to be, smacked me. But what he did was he spit a razor. He was positioning the razor in his mouth to get it between his middle finger and his ring finger, and then he just wiped me down my face.
Basically, what happened to me was me being out of character. You know, I had all that liquor in me, and I entertained a conversation that I would have normally ignored. You know, but you know, when you get that liquid courage in you think you're the man, and I opened my mouth and I should have just mounted my business, basically, and I got what I got.
It led to him going to the hospital and receiving 150 stitches in his face, what is known as a $150, you know, out there on the East Coast and the North, especially within prison, from what I understand, for people to have razors and box cutters, and when they get into different confrontations or disputes, cut somebody with it, and it will lead to them having to receive around 150 stitches. Something that's interesting to point out is Mike shared in an interview that he actually had an opportunity to retaliate against the guy who cut him.
I was given two opportunities to retaliate on this person that cut me. I never knew before in my entire life, but post this situation, I had two opportunities. One person offered to kill him for me, and all they said was, could you give me a picture of him and get an area where he was at. I got the picture. I found out he hangs out in Crown Heights. And I never gave them that information. I didn't want his blood on my hands. And another time I ran into him was I went to a friend's house in Jersey, and he was there. Dude was sitting there in gym shorts hanging out the house. And so my buddy introduced me to him, like, hey, Mike, this is so-and-so, so-and-so, this is Mike. I looked at him, he said, hey, how you doing? I looked at him, I just put my head down, I shook my head, started laughing. I looked back at him, I said, boy, you don't remember me? He looked at me, he said, no. I said, I don't worry about it, maybe I got my wires crossed. I went back in the living room, I sat down, and I swear to you, You know that same movie, they say the devil, the angel sits on your shoulders. So I heard a voice say, go in the kitchen, get a butcher knife and stab him to death. Like I heard the voice in my head telling me to do that, and it scared me so bad that I had that kind of evil in me that I ran out the house. I didn't say goodbye, I just ran out the house and drove back to Brooklyn like sobbing, crying like a fucking baby, man, because I didn't like that I can go there, that right.
And initially, the large scar kind of affected his confidence, affected his mental health, but that scar is what helped separate him from a lot of other artists, man, from a lot of other actors, man, in the game. But before the scar, he had went to college, he had a good 9 to 5, but he decided to drop all of that to pursue his interest as a backup dancer.
And you were starting to do your thing, dancing, and he danced for big artists. I'm talking about Madonna. I'm talking about George Michael. I was so proud of you. How did you break into dancing, and what was the big turn for you there?
Well, anybody knows my story. I had a very turbulent child life, and my behavior had landed me, in some serious situations. So I had to go and get my head together. One day I got a job, went to school, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna make my mom's happy, make my mom's proud, and because my mom's a hard-working woman, man.
Yeah.
She worked hard to take care of us in the projects, and I saw a Janet Jackson video and lost my mind. It was Rhythm Nation,
Yeah.
and I was like. And then my light bulb went off. I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go and become a backup dancer for Janet Jackson. That never happened. I never got to dance for Janet Jackson, but I did have a pretty good career as a dancer. I got to travel the world and work with a lot of beautiful people, and but that.
And after that scar, he went from dancing in the background to being casted as a gritty, street-oriented dude.
Directors didn't want me just to dance in the videos anymore. They wanted me to act out these thug roles. I was like, Mike, roll these dice in this video, have this fight in this video. I was like, all right.
The late Tupac Shakur, man, Tupac, he's somebody who actually presented Mike with his real first breakthrough before The Wire. Mike appeared in a film called Bullet. While Tupac was out in New York filming the movie, he was looking for somebody to play his little brother, and he came across the picture of Michael. He saw that signature scar on his face and thought that he looked tough enough and raw and gritty enough to play his little brother.
Tupac Shakur was filming a movie in New York called Bullet, opposite Mickey Rourke, and the production office that they were working out of in New York happened to have a Polaroid picture of me from me going to audition from some various music video. So he happened to see a Polaroid picture of me and was like, yo, this dude looks thugged out enough that he could play my little brother. I think he saw my pain, my struggle, my heart. I was starstruck, I was like, wow, it's Tupac Shakur.
He clocked the scar and was like, yo, who is this dude? And he said, yo, find this dude. And in his words, he told me on the set, he told me in the limousine scene, he says, I saw your picture and I said, I saw the scar. And he said, this dude looks thugged out enough to play my little brother.
Years later, the world would fully recognize his talent when he stepped into the role of Omar, and from there, as a gritty, street-oriented dude, a lot of different other shows and films. But sadly, although he was having a lot of success in the film world and the entertainment industry, as well as making an impact in his community, he was still battling with things, off the camera, man. He still battled with drug addiction and depression, and that led to his demise back in September of 2021.
It was going to be the highlight of his professional career, an Emmy. Michael K. Williams appeared to be the frontrunner to win his first Emmy in 2 weeks for Best Supporting Actor in the HBO series Lovecraft Country. Williams had been nominated 5 times in the last 7 years.
Michael K. Williams, When They See Us.
Michael Kenneth Williams, The Night Of.
But this was going to be his year. Michael K. Williams died here in his penthouse apartment in the Williamsburg section of Brooklyn. Published reports say police found heroin and drug paraphernalia on the kitchen table. Other reports say he may have OD'd on fentanyl.
federal authorities, along with the NYPD, pieced together what they maintain unfolded the day before Williams overdosed. Snapshots from surveillance video show Williams in a black tracksuit with Cartagena near the late actor's home in Williamsburg. Officials say this is when Cartagena sold Williams that lethal dose of drugs, again, fentanyl-laced heroin.
On September 5th of 2021, he actually bought some laced heroin. It was some heroin laced with fentanyl. He ended up overdosing after taking the laced drugs. You know, he was found in his Brooklyn penthouse, face down, unresponsive. You know, when the paramedics made it to the spot, they couldn't do anything, man. He was dead on the scene. He was 54 years old. They actually arrested the guy who served him the laced drugs, man, a dude by the name of Irvin Cartagena. He ended up pleading guilty to conspiring to distribute heroin, fentanyl, and fentanyl analog. He also admitted to selling the drugs that killed Mike, man, and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison, fed time.
The 54-year-old was a talented actor and producer who openly talked about his struggle with addiction. Still, his death stunned many who followed his career, including his award-winning role in The Wire.
But yeah, R.I.P. to Michael K. Williams, condolences to his family. It was unfortunate to see, man, especially considering how he was able to change his life, garner so much success. But yeah, it's an interesting story to know that, you know, that $150 is what elevated his career. So it was like the pain came before the success, and he didn't allow that to knock him off course, man. You know, although it affected his confidence temporarily, it ultimately became his signature and separated him from a lot of other people and got him a lot of opportunities, man. And he embraced it, you know. So, you know that scar, it became a symbol of his transformation, and it's something that people will forever remember him for. But yeah, man, we checking in on Humble Soul. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit the button ASAP. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button. Also, you know, check out some of our merch if you want to support, and all of that is greatly appreciated. Until next time, I'ma holler at y'all, man. 100.
Live your life. Be who you are. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Everybody asking me, how do I feel about the climate? I'm excited because we all awoke now. See, everybody's awoke. Everybody has everybody's undivided attention, and we paying attention. And for that, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to have a platform. I'm grateful to have my pain to turn into profit and to inspire somebody. I'm grateful. These scars on my face are real. I'm grateful. I count it all joy today. I'm gonna leave y'all with this. I ain't no perfect man, by far. I'm the good, the bad, and the ugly. And guess what? New York City, you made me this way.